Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is SockBot, and today, well, we have more of a news type video, which is kind of weird for this channel. But yesterday and the day before, Media Molecule released quite a bit of information on the future of dreams and what's to come. And I think that that's something that people have been waiting for quite a while. And so, what I want to talk about is what they talked about for those 2 days. And the reason that I waited a day was just to make sure that we got everything, because it was a lot of information on both days, and I didn't want to just throw everything out there. In addition to that, I'm making a very strange and a bit more complicated video for next week, which is why this week's video is this. Otherwise, a sort of news update like this really would not take up the entire Saturday slot for this channel, but it is also a lot of information, so hopefully this isn't too long. But if you do enjoy seeing these sorts of news videos, if you like coming to YouTube for news on this types of things, well, feel free to leave a like down below and feel free to subscribe, and definitely let me know if you do actually like these sorts of things. If everybody's read this, there's no real use for me talking about it, but I feel like a lot of people don't pay attention to the 8 to 10 different sources of content that Media Molecule will give us. So that's why I'm talking about it here. But this is the first big announcement right here, and this is what we're going to talk about first, because it's there's a lot of implications. So starting with this announcement of the Dreams beta evaluation, essentially what this announcement was a beta for people that want to use Dreams for purposes outside of Dreams. Now, currently, as you probably do know, there is no sort of exportable option within Dreams other than the ability to share screenshots and share videos of Dreams. Now, that is incredibly useful for a lot of different reasons, a lot of which are mentioned here, but the point of this beta is to give certain people a larger access to possible future features for Dreams, and I'm assuming that those are some more advanced exporting features, but we're not really sure what they are so far. But a really good thing about this post was literally the first point they talk about, which is something that I don't think anybody knew. I certainly didn't think this was the case, but Media Molecule has stated now officially that creators who create their creations within Dreams do own those creations and own the rights to those creations. Basically, if you create something in Dreams, legally you own the intellectual property for that creation that you make, which is truly amazing, because honestly I'm not sure that YouTube works that way sometimes, considering how they treat different creators. But in this case, it definitely seems like Media Molecule from the get-go is making a point of this, and that's really exciting, because if you'll have watched any of my previous videos, I do talk about certain creators that have concerns when it comes to making things in Dreams, and whether or not professional game creators actually have any use for Dreams. And I think in this case we see that, for the reasons mentioned below, it's definitely worth it to, well, make things in Dreams, even if you do make your living creating in Unity or something of that sort. But following that, it's kind of an elaboration on what you can do with your Dreams creations, and I don't think that this is particularly surprising, because if you do own it, obviously you can then use that art and sell it in various places. And the only thing that's a little bit strange here is the use of your own content from Dreams for certain business opportunities. And so far, what they're saying is that as of right now, you can use anything you create within Dreams for, let's say, concept art. And that's one of the things they mentioned here. And there's a few other places somebody may want to use these as a game creator, but it seems like there might be some intervention on Sony's part here, because they say that this beta evaluation is specifically for people who intend to use their creations as concept art. So while they say it's already possible to do that, it seems a little bit awkward, where right now you need to submit an application to use Dreams for like a specific project. Now, I'm not super familiar with how concept art works and what the official ownership of that concept art applies to, whether or not it just applies to the creator that made it, whether it applies to the company that actually owns that game that the concept art will eventually turn into. And I think that that's kind of what they're getting at here. It seems like they're suggesting that anybody that wants to, instead of just the default, which is to say that instead of just saying the person that created it owns it, to take that and then apply that ownership to a sort of concept art stage where the ownership is actually the company that owns the game. And it sounds like this beta application is to do that, to transfer the ownership from just a specific person to an actual group of people, or more to the ownership of the project itself, as opposed to just the person that made it. It seems very complicated and very legalese, but I guess we'll see what this means in practice in the future, depending on who actually ends up using it. And it sounds like it's only available to people that were involved with early access, and I don't know if that's the case or if they're just using that phrase again, but I digress. And so moving forward from this, there's like the other types of things that people may make within Dreams that do require some sort of legal ownership to use outside of Dreams. And so one of these is actually music videos. And I'm surprised that they mentioned that in the first place. But on top of that, you have, movies and television that could be created within Dreams, and who actually owns the rights to that. And so I think that what we have seen so far is they are mentioning very specific types of things that absolutely do follow under these rules of belonging to the creator that created them, and or through this beta process applying that ownership to a bigger thing. Now, I know that this is a lot of jargon that I'm not even completely familiar with, so I apologize if that is confusing, but I think for most people, the excitement here is that Media Molecule is treating Dreams and treating creations within Dreams as much as they possibly can as owned by the creators, and basically giving them the rights to do with that creation however they want. And on top of that, it seems like they are encouraging this in the first place, and on top of that, even more so, like actually from the get-go, making sure that everybody knows that even if it does sound like in this entire article that it may be a little bit iffy, they may still be working with Sony and working in new territory here, trying to make sure that in the future, if someone were to create a movie or something like that out of Dreams, that they would have a basis for who owns that. And I think that that's really good for a lot of creators who may or may not use it right now, but I think it is also going to change a lot of people's outlook on Dreams, and to see Dreams more as a tool for creation in general, whether it be for use within Dreams or for use without of Dreams. And I think that that is a very good place to start, and will definitely avoid a lot of awkward weirdness in the future in terms of actually owning these different things, which is great because, I mean, some of my videos used to get copyright flagged because I would use music from Little Big Planet in them, and I could never get over those because it didn't go to Media Molecule. It went straight to that. Now, I'm sure that that's a different case with copyrighted music, but I think that's where we're going to stop for this because that's the boring one. This is the exciting one. And so moving over to this, they did announce a roadmap for Dreams, which isn't very detailed, and it's exciting because of what it means. It means that clearly Media Molecule is taking steps to keep us updated on what's happening with the game, which is incredibly exciting because one of the issues that we had in early access and in beta specifically was struggling to contact Media Molecule and struggling to know what they were actually hearing. And so over the course of updates, months later, we would get things like the controller controls, or like the actual physical controls, as opposed to the motion controls within Dreams. And we did get that with the full game, which was really exciting, but nobody knew that was coming. I believe they mentioned it on a stream at some point, but it's really nice to have this board. Whether or not they actually decide to update it in the future is yet to be seen, but it's exciting to have something like this, to know that Media Molecule is trying to keep us updated as much as they're trying to keep on track with things that they're trying to fix or things that they're trying to create. So for example, in the features in progress section here, you can see they're working on the Welcome Garden character pack, which I believe bits and pieces of the garden pack are already out, if not the entire pack, but the characters are not yet. So it's nice to see that they're still working on that. The weird thing is, I don't know if they're going to be adding any sort of Little Big Planet crossover characters in that, because if you'll remember, the garden was the first big world within Little Big Planet 1, but that's just me speculating. So moving forward from that, I mean, you can see there's a new base puppet type, a new flow when selecting a puppet. I'm not sure what the new flow means. I'm sure that that just means that there's going to be possibly a separate menu for puppets, or a different sort of interface to decide which puppet is best, because, trying to pick between the base and the deluxe puppet, a lot of people don't know the difference between them, but hopefully that will give people a clearer outlook on what that is, in addition to a new base puppet, which literally could mean anything. It could mean that they're creating new puppet types that have different sizes. It could mean that they're completely removing everything from the puppet so that you don't have to do it yourself and leaving that as a base option. There's a lot of different things that can mean. And again, I don't think that this entire board is to tell us how things are going to happen, but at least to give us an idea of what's being worked on and what's moving forward. Following that, and this is something that I wanted to point out too from this list, I'm not just going to read through everything because the point of this is that it's just very exciting that Media Molecule is keeping us updated on these, but I think that a few things are worth mentioning, and the genealogy browser is definitely one of them. I'm not going to click into any of these. I'll probably just put some gameplay over this because it's, well, there's a lot of different details that don't make a whole lot of sense and a lot that do, but for genealogy, that just means that you're basically going to be able to click back through a dream to see that this dream had all of these different people working on it, and this person created this part of it. And so instead of just seeing that X person worked on design, you'll be able to click through on the InDreams website to see what part of that level they designed. Or if this person worked on sound, you'll be able to see what song they worked on and access that song right from there. And that's incredibly useful. You can do that to some extent with InDreams right now, like you can go to that person's profile and find what you're looking for, but it's not the most intuitive, and being able to do it on a computer I think is really nice because it's just a lot easier to flip through things really quickly on a web browser. That's a personal opinion. Moving forward from that, there's more stuff involving the Welcome Garden pack, and that's very exciting because I love new content, obviously, we all do. But they're also talking about bug fixes here, which is great, and they're talking about known issues here that they haven't even figured out if they're bugs or if it's something that's going to be a bigger problem, which, I mean, as a data analyst, I know that I run into that constantly where things are known, we just don't know why that there's something going wrong there, and so that's why it's known issues and not a bug fix in progress yet. But it's nice to see that you can basically tell what tweets or what comments or what stream shoutouts that they're actually paying attention to and are actually working on right now. And so basically you don't just feel like you're screaming at a wall. Hopefully these are the big ones that they're working on right now. In addition to that, you can see the upcoming updates, which is really exciting, but also kind of like, I mean, like, it's the stuff that's already done and is going to be released in the next update, so I don't think that right now there's a lot to look forward to, but it's nice to be able to see the stuff they're working on and then the stuff that is upcoming, like that is imminent to come to the game, in addition to that being separate from bugs because, well, bugs aren't exactly features of the game, but I know that a lot of people are very passionate about a lot of the bugs that have, well, let's say, plagued the online servers. I haven't found a whole lot, but that's okay. And then finally, over to the right here, I want to just talk about the very future features. And it's nice to see what they're planning on here. The only thing I'm worried about is that this is going to be taken by a lot of the Dreams community as promises, and very obviously that is not what this is. So I do not want anybody to see this board and assume that them putting stuff in future means it's definitely going to happen, because that is just a formula for disappointment. Unless you see it's in progress, I say see these as things that Media Molecule has in their sights, but don't see them as imminent changes. And then finally, obviously, you see the previous release section, which is nice. It's nice to be able to have one cohesive stream of what has changed recently. I mean, honestly, just to know that Media Molecule clearly is working on a lot, and on top of that, to make sure that you didn't miss any of the art packs from Media Molecule, because I can tell from personal experience, searches for different stuff, and like that's how I've been finding the art packs so far, as opposed to big front page releases. So I suppose here is another place to look at it, but I doubt a lot of people are going to look at this, so I'm going to stop this analysis here and just say thank you, Media Molecule, for keeping us updated in so many different ways. Thank you for being advocates for creators and for the rights to creators owning their own creations. I think that seeing all of this has reminded me how good a company Media Molecule is. And I think we all knew that, and I think that, I mean, just judging by how happy the people that work there are, I mean, they were like, I forget what paper it was in, but they were rated like the best company to work at in England or something like that recently. So obviously they care about the players, and obviously they care about this game, and now I think that this is such a feasibly touchable piece of evidence that they actually care. And I say this not for myself because I know that, But I say this for anybody that does feel like they're not being listened to within dreams, that Media Molecule is listening to people, and they may not be listening to you specifically, but there are a million of us out here, and they need to pick and choose what they do. But clearly, to some extent, they are listening. And I'm very happy about that. I'm so happy to see this, and I hope that you are too. But obviously, I know I don't cover the entirety of the Dreams community opinion, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know where you think this is going, or what you think they could do to make this better, or if some of this is maybe too much. If you, kind of like me, think that this future option over here might not be the best idea because it's going to get a lot of people's hopes up for things that might not happen. But yeah, and obviously let me know if you want me to analyze any of this more. This isn't generally the type of video that I do. Most of this stuff is like commentary and not really news ideas because that's not what I'm interested in. But I do have a lot of thoughts about this future section and maybe would enjoy speculating about it, but we'll see. Let me know what you all think in the comments. I hope you're all doing well. Again, if you do enjoy this video, feel free to like and subscribe. No pressure as always. I never want to. I just like to mention that in case you forgot. So I hope you're all doing well. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and I hope to talk to you guys all very soon in next week's super weird video. I mean, weird, not like weird because I don't normally do it, but thanks again for watching. For now, goodbye.